Okay, I've logged back into my Build Solaris server. I have assumed the root role. In other words, I typed in su root, typed in the password, and my user was able to take over the role of root, so therefore I'm in as root. What we're going to do right now here is we're going to take a look at account policies. The account policies live in a place in the etc/default folder in a file called passwd. Now what we're going to do is we're going to edit these files. The easiest program that I use to edit files is Nano. So I'm going to go Nano. Oops, I'm not inside my server here. Let me just get in here. Nano space /etc/default /passwd. Now, one thing to keep in mind is as root user, I'm able to edit the password file. If I wasn't the root user or taking over the root role, I would not be able to edit said file here. So I type in enter. The Nano program starts, and you'll notice at the very top of the screen here, it says file, etc, default password. Okay. Now, take a look at some of the settings right now. Anything with a number sign is indicating a comment. Anything without a number sign is basically the command. Right now, you'll see on the screen here, it says max weeks equals nothing. That means there's nothing set there. Min weeks equals nothing, nothing set there. Password length is set to 6 characters long. You could change this by editing the program to make it 8 characters long here. All right, so right now you'll notice that if I use, since my mouse doesn't work inside of the instance, the VM that I have right now here, using a keyboard, I just down arrow. You'll notice that in the left hand side there is a white box that moves here. So I want to change this from password length from 6 to 8 characters. All I'm going to do is just basically delete this and change this to 8 characters. So now anytime a password is inserted or a person has to change their password, they're going to be forced to make sure that it is 8 characters long here. Okay, and then I want to continue on here. There's one thing. I'm going down the screen here. Okay, now there is a section here that talks about the history, which sets the number of prior password changes to keep and check for user when changing passwords. Basically, what it comes down to is that if I set a password of hello, and let's say I'm forced to change the password, I can't type in hello and then hello again. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm forced to change the password. So if my first password is hello, I have to change the password. Now, instead of being 6, I have 8 characters. If I type in HELLO, that's only 5 characters here. If I try to type in HELLO1, that's 6 characters. In order for me to be able to change it, it's HELLO123, and then I'd be 8 characters. It's different from the word hello because it's a longer character, and I would accept it. The next time I'm being forced to change the password, my original password is HELLO123. I would have to change it to another password with 8 characters. Could I repeat the word hello? Unless there's something there or set up in the system to stop doing so, I could use hello, and instead of using 123, I can go 456. It depends on what type of games you want to end up playing with your users and so forth, and how you set it up. Nevertheless, I can set the word so that every time I change the password, will not be able to use the previous password in history. I'm still leaving this blank because it's rammed out right now here. There is a concept of password complexity here. Now, this isn't always a great option here. Okay, now you'll notice that on the default settings here, it says min diff, min alpha, okay, min something or another alpha, min upper, min lower, max repeats, min special, min digit, white space equals yes. Well, all these things perform different things here. In other words, the minimum difference of password has to have at least 3 different characters, or has to have a change of 3 characters. So I'm using an 8-character password. I can still use five of the same letters, but I'd have to modify 1, or at least 3. The minimum of alpha characters is 2 here. The minimum of upper characters right now it says 0. Minimum lower characters says 0. So in other words, I could set minimum upper such that the password has to have at least 1 uppercase character. if I set a number to minimum lower, I can set down and say the minimum lower characters could be 1. So in this situation, let's do this. I'm going to rem out the rem mark, or remove the rem mark, and I'm going to say the minimum upper characters, and it's got to be 1. So that means in my password of 8 characters long, I need to have at least 1 upper character, uppercase character. And I'm going to set it down here and say, and I have to have at least 1 lowercase character. Now, you sit back, you look at this and say, well, it's kind of obvious that somebody's going to use all lowercase characters. So if they use all lowercase characters, they have to have at least 1 capital. However, if they use all capitals, I am now forcing them to have at least 1 minimum. Okay, so in other words, it's basically making a complex password, or the start of complex. If I want to make this a truly complex password, I would have to sit down here and say they have to have at least 1 digit. So now the way the settings are, the changes that I've made so far is that the password length has to be at least 8 characters long. The password has to have at least 1 uppercase character, 1 lowercase character, and at least 1 digit. In other words, I'm basically using 3 of the 4 complexity concepts. The 4th concept is using a special character. And I could set that up here is doing this. So I can go and I can change min special, and I'm going to set up 1. Now I'm meeting 4 complexity requirements here. All right, minimum lower 1, minimum upper 1, minimum special character 1, minimum digit. So in all scenarios, with all these settings that I've got here, I'm now basically forcing the user to use an 8-character password and 4 separate settings inside of it here. Okay, now I can continue on here, and there's a whole bunch of different things. In other words, especially if you're starting to look at dictionary lists, you need to have a dictionary list to check over here, right? In other words, here is using var password, dictionary, minimum word lengths, etc. But for now, I'm going to stop with the way it is here. So basically, I want to save this. So if I'm going to exit out of here, again, Control X at the very bottom, it says answering no or destroy changes. Yes, I want to save this. So I type in the letter Y. All right, I want to save it to the etc default password. I'm going to save it back to the place where it was. No other problems. And I press enter. And now it's written here. Okay, so what it means is that when I want to change a password or put in a new password for any subsequent user or any following user, I'm going to have to type in an 8-character password, 1 capital, 1 lowercase, 1 number, 1 digit.